I was checking out the odds at DraftKings for this weekend's main event. Marvin Vettori, minus 140, Paulo Costa, plus 120. Those numbers move all of the time. That's damn even. And when you start to get a plus 120, start to get a negative 140, you're talking about very close odds. Vettori was the favorite. That surprised me. Does it you? I would love to hear that, because the one problem with Paulo Costa is, how are you going to beat him? I mean, if you sit down and you study a whole bunch of Paulo Costa's fight tapes, where is it that you see a weakness? If you're a new fan and you watched him compete with Adesanya, where he's just simply never got going, he stood there like a heavy bag, got picked apart in the leg, got picked apart in the head. I mean, I understand all of that, but I don't know that you want to judge somebody's career over one night of action. It would seem as though you'd like to look at a body of work, and Paulo Costa is damn near unstoppable. You want to know what my prediction was for Paulo when he lost to Adesanya? I thought he was going to leave the weight class. And the timing of that is very relevant, right? For a couple of reasons. First off, when I talk about Paulo was going to leave the weight class, that's when they were looking for contenders at 205 pounds. That's right after John Jones had walked away from the belt. The Rockhold and Weidman experiments didn't play out. Jan Blachowicz was coming in. It just looked like there was an opportunity for a guy, fresh young face, to get a new coat of paint, go up to 205 pounds. And part two to this is Paulo Costa has a very hard time making weight. It was a big challenge for him. He looks like a Greek god. He looks like he's chiseled out of stone. And while everybody comes into MMA with some kind of a background, they were a college wrestler, they were a boxer, they were a jiu-jitsu guy. He came in as a power lifter. He was picking up really heavy things and putting them down. He spent a lifetime of trying to put on lean mass for competitive reasons. And we know as human beings, we don't get smaller, unfortunately. As time goes on, we get bigger. I only bring it to you because you take that in conjunction with his layoff. One thing I don't love on Paulo Costa was the layoff, because I don't know why. I don't know why he didn't get back in there. I don't know why he didn't jump back up on that horse. I know that prior to the contest, remember he had that bicep, he had the surgery, and even tried to have a doctor forge a note so we could go compete sooner. But remember when he was dealing with that? But that was prior to the contest. I haven't heard of any injuries. So now I'm just left to guess. I'm not attempting to speculate one way or the other. I'm forced to have to guess what kept him out. And was he able to keep his weight down? I mean, Paulo Costa's greatest battle in his last 5 fights has not been the opponent. He's won 4 of those. He's lost 1. It still wasn't the opponent. It was the scale the day before. So it's a relevant talking point. It's a relevant thing to keep your eye on. Now let's go look at Vettori. Vettori is the favorite in this. If you go back and you watch Paulo's last 5 fights, if you go back and you watch Vettori's last 5 fights, you are going to be deceived into believing this is a striker in Paulo Costa versus a wrestler in Vettori. Your eyes are going to lie to you. Vettori is one hell of a good striker, and Paulo Costa is one hell of a good wrestler. So it's a wash. You're going to have a real brawl here. You're going to have a real mixed martial arts contest. The champion, Adesanya, fought them both, weighed in with his opinion. If you're not going to listen to Adesanya on guys within his weight class who he's already competed with, who the hell are you going to listen to? And Adesanya did not make a pick. He did not say, I'm leaning towards, but he did say Paulo Costa needs to do one thing. Bring a storm right now. The second that bell rings, bring that tornado and get Vettori out of there. Vettori needs to do one thing. This is the champ talking. Vettori needs to get to rounds 3 and 4. However he can do it. Stall. Move around. Clinch him. Buy yourself some time. Do not get in a firefight. Do not look to end this early. Look to get late. Now, to some degree, Captain Obvious just laid out a pretty good plan, right? To some degree. If you're Paulo Costa, what should you do? You're asking Adesanya, well, you should go out there and knock him out. Okay. I mean, okay. That would work, but it's still a compelling line, because I also feel that your eyes are lying to you on that. I don't know that I buy into the idea that Paulo Costa gets tired later. I've never seen it. It's not what happened when Adesanya fought him. There was no later. And if you go back and look at the absolute war, one of the great middleweight fights ever was Paulo Costa versus Yoel Romero. If you guys will recall, Yoel Romero lost that fight and became the number one contender. Do you guys remember this? Let me say it for you one more time. Yoel Romero lost the fight. His next fight was for the world championship, but he looked so damn good in it. It was so close, Yoel and Paulo Costa. Paulo was hurt. Yoel looks like the next best thing. Let's bring him off the bench, even with the silver medal. But I didn't see the fatigue in Paulo Costa. It was a war. He was exhausted for sure. He should have been exhausted. And even if that was only a 3-round fight, I don't at all buy into the idea that Paulo Costa is going to have cardio issues. I've just never seen it. I saw him have a really hard fight, and he left it all in there. Okay, Yoel did the same thing. Okay. So it's one of these. I am surprised that Marvin's the favorite. Marvin is going to have to go out, at least in theory, and take Paulo Costa down, which is something that Yoel Romero couldn't do. I don't have any better evidence for you. I have nothing else to argue for you. It's just when you tell me that Marvin's going to go take Paulo down and ground and pound him, I'm, of course, going to ask you, when have you seen that happen? You'll go, well, Vettori's last 4 fights. I go, no. I know Vettori's really good at doing that. When have you seen it happen to Paulo Costa? And then if you argue that Vettori's not going to be able to take him down, I'm still going to counter you the other way and say, yeah, but Vettori doesn't have to. Vettori's good with the punches. He's good with the kicks. He went toe-to-toe for a meaningful period of time with Adesanya in that very realm. It's an interesting fight, guys. It jumps off the page. I think that the attitude of Marvin Vettori is what has him the favorite at DraftKings. I really do. I think that DraftKings looked at these two great athletes, but they looked at the turnaround by Vettori, the willingness, the eagerness, and they gave him a bump on an intangible known as attitude. I think that DraftKings has also given a good look to the fact that Paulo Costa, for some reason, took his oars out of the water and waited. I can't answer that question. I don't know what it was. I don't believe it was an injury. Is it meaningful in the fight? Look, they're damn near even money, but I would like to hear from you guys. I don't want to go put the Chael curse on somebody without you backing me. Who are you taking? Paulo Costa or Marvin Vettori?